I feel a bit better about my midlife crisis and joining karate at the age of whatever it was.
Well, no, it's just discovering who you are. That's all it is.
Yeah. So I had a look at what kinds of traits are often in people's shadows, to give people an idea. So when I'm reading these off, have a think. Are these traits that you would judge harshly in others? And that might be a little clue that might be something that you repress, or something that you're like, oh, well, you don't want to identify as. So for example, I'm like that. So I know that's something I repress, which I did because I was a people pleaser, and I am working hard to combat. And it is naturally part of growing up to want to rebel to some degree. And but I think that when certain parts have been repressed in childhood, as they really struggle with that, and that's when they're more likely to spill out in an extreme, in an unhelpful way.
That's it. As teenagers, we start to develop our own
sense of
idea of the world.
Yeah,
because as kids, we're told this is how it is, to follow those rules. As a teenager, then you're kind of going, hey, that doesn't make sense. That was a lie. That was a lie. And you start to kind of develop your own views on the world and your own truths. So then, that's why we end up rebelling. Because it's like that midlife crisis thing. It's not a midlife crisis. It's awakening up to the truth that you did not follow the path you were supposed to follow. You followed the path of what society wanted you to. And that's it. Like, it's not a crisis. It is a crisis. It's a crisis, a moral crisis, because you literally followed this mask, this societal fucking sheep shit, like, and you didn't follow the path that you wanted, and you're literally rebelling against the falsity of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel a bit better about my midlife crisis and joining karate at the age of whatever it was.
Well, no, the way I see it, we're relabeling midlife crisis to spiritual awakening. They're starting to call it quarter life crisis now, because people are starting to awaken,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And actually, when you listen to a lot, I mean, there's obviously people that are influential that's younger, but like a lot of people talk about getting to that kind of middle age, that mid 30s to mid 40s, and that's when I think, as we season into, it's like having elders, isn't it? It's the being more wise and seeing things differently, and I think that we naturally progress through that, don't we? I think I certainly feel like I struggled through life trying to find my place, thinking that I was doing all the right things, and then you get to the point and go, hold on, actually this isn't the values that are mine, actually, that I feel like I'm doing this for other people and not for me. And I think when you get to that, oh hell, I'm halfway if I live to 80, which is the average age, I'm halfway through my life, like, what am I going to do? Like, time's ticking. And I think that the fact that you're coming to middle age is a wake-up call, isn't it? It's like, right, you've had half, what are you going to do with the other half? I think it does sort of bring on an awakening of some kind, or at least a reevaluation of where you are and where you want to go. And I think that can lead to looking down spiritual paths for people. But I think it's quite common, isn't it, to get to that sort of mid 30s to mid 40s.
But that's it. And what we say spiritual here, like, a lot of people might resonate with the word spiritual. We're all spiritual beings living in human experience. And what spiritually awakening is, similar to a midlife crisis, is just waking up to the truth that is within you all along. Waking up to yourself, your authenticity. That's what it is. You're awakening. You're taking off those layers of conditioning. You're taking off that mask to fit into the false world. And you're just waking up to your own truth. It's just discovering who you are. That's all it is.
Yeah. So I had a look at what kinds of traits are often in people's shadows, to give people an idea. So when I'm reading these off, have a think. Are these traits that you would judge harshly in others? And that might be a little clue that might be something that you repress, or something that you're like, oh, well, you don't want to identify as. So for example, aggression, you'd be like, oh no, I'm definitely not aggressive. Aren't you? Have a think about that. That might be somewhere to explore. So it's ones that create I'd hate for somebody to say I was aggressive. I would hate for someone to say I was selfish. Selfishness is important to some extent. Otherwise, you're a people pleaser and you're throwing yourself under the bus, you know?
Exactly.
So all of these things are not bad. It's about having it in the right degree, in the right circumstance.
Exactly.
Yeah. So here they are. So anger or aggression, sensitivity and vulnerability, creativity and imagination, which I think is an interesting one because I think we are really crushing that out of our youth at the moment, which is a really terrible thing. I think we expect them to all sit there and chirp the same stuff because that's the way education is going. And I think we have to be really careful that we're not stifling creativity.
Yeah, like for years, like as a child, I gave up creativity because I never got good enough and I was never encouraged. And you know, I only rediscovered it when I awakened. And there was so many people that I was saying that I'm artistic to now, and they're like, "Geez, I'd love to be creative." I'm not creative, and I'm like, "You are. You just didn't give it enough time. That's a part of that's in your shadow that you need to bring out."
Do you know what? I was watching a reel. I told Elliot this. He's like, he wants to be a footballer. And I was like, well, I'm not going to lie to you. The chances at 11 years old of becoming a professional footballer now, after not having lots of practicing, you know, it's not going to be an easy thing, but it's something like 18 minutes a day, every day on a skill for a year will make you 95, but better than 95% of people. So that's what I've taught. So if he just dedicates 18 minutes a day of doing one football skill or a few football skills, practicing football, then he should be better than 95% of people in a year. So that is that thing, isn't it? Like I used to be a good drawer, but I don't draw. I started playing. I am very neurospicy. It has to be said. So I do go all in on something and then my routine changes and I never ever touch it again. So I spent 2 years learning keyboard and I actually got quite good at it and then I just stopped. Yeah, but that's that thing. If you don't practice your creativity, you what potential there could be out there. And creativity is what thinks outside the box, that makes new exciting innovations. We need creativity, that's why it's a bit worrying really, that I don't think it's given enough. I think writing, don't get me wrong, the core subjects, writing, maths and reading is obviously very important, but I think we need to be giving more to creativity as well, especially in the world that we're moving into. Like, you know, you could talk to your phone and it'll work out any calculation you want very quickly. That's not what we need. We need people to be innovative. Can't say the word innovative. That's
innovative. Yeah,
you knew what I meant.
Yeah. We do. We need more of that. Like, and that's the thing. Like, you know, I keep getting all this information. Oh, you should be using AI. You should be using AI. I'm like, yeah, AI is good for some things.
Yeah.
But if we use AI for everything, we lose ourselves.
Yeah.
We lose our authenticity. We're supposed to be showing up as who we are, not behind robot. Like, you know. So I'm all for certain types of AI for certain things, but don't let it take over who you are.
Yeah,
because that's just another mask.
So something to make things easier in schools is you can ask AI. So when you're teaching writing, you would have like a model of writing. So say you were writing about a quest story and you've been teaching certain features of grammatical features that you want the children to use. You could give that to AI, say, I want these things in it. And I want it to be a quest story, and I want a female character, and I want this, that, and the other. And it will write it for you, which is much quicker than an adult doing it, that by hand, which is how we used to do it. But it's not the same quality. It isn't. It's tick box. You know, when you read it, it's like, and sometimes like AI can do some great poems as well. But sometimes there is a human quality that you can't put your finger on that is missing with AI. And that's what's going to become so special as we move in to a world of laziness, I think. Because everybody is eventually going to get AI to do it, and so people that are still using their human qualities to do work and putting the extra time in, I feel like their work will shine. You know, I think it will
well, I
have
hope
that
so, because
human quality.
I've been in an aversion to AI, and I don't know if that's something that I need to work on. But a part of me is it's because I want to use my authenticity, and I don't want to lose that to a computer.
Yeah. I think it's a great tool for giving like a general structure and some
Yeah, it's
ideas and
great for
examples.
tips and stuff, but I have a fear that people are just going to hide behind it and
Yeah,
just going to start write books
definitely.
through their computer
It's
and let
just
the
another way for us to get lazy.
yeah.
That's the other thing I've said to my kids. I'm like, you know, if you put that phone down, that you got a great opportunity to get ahead of everybody else. All you have to do is put that phone down, because most children your age and moving up into their late teens, they are going to be looking at screens and wasting so much time, and that gives you such an advantage if you can just learn to put your phone down and handle being bored. They can't handle being bored, my kids. And I'm like, that's where the magic
We used to
happens.
go out in the fields, we used to climb trees, we used to play in the mud, like, you know, go on your bicycle.
They have no idea
You know,
how to entertain themselves.
yeah.
Honestly.
Look,
Yeah.
Yeah, like we grew up without mobile phones, for God's sake. Like, if we wanted to see someone, we'd have to knock on their door.
Yeah. Like if you wanted to know the answer to something, you'd either have to have a conversation with somebody or go to a library.
Or open the encyclopedia.
Yeah, whereas now you don't even have to type it into your phone. You can just open an app and talk to your phone and it will tell you. Press a button and talk to your phone and it'll tell you.
You know, one thing I love about technology is that we do have the world of knowledge at our fingertips.
Yeah, that is.
This is how I actually ended up learning about shadow work. I didn't even have to leave my house. I learned how to heal myself with the power of my phone. So obviously technology has its great benefits, but people aren't using it right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Although I'll talk about this later, but actually I used ChatGPT to help me with one of my triggers, so I'll talk about that later, which was quite interesting.
Yeah, you said that too.
Yeah, so there is uses, there is some uses, but it's just about being mindful, because you can stifle your creativity.
It's all about, once again, it's all about balance.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to the list. So independence or defiance. So being overly independent, not being able to accept help is also damaging, but not being able to be dependent and being independent and having to rely on other people all the time. Yeah.
I used to be codependent, now I'm too independent.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to really work on accepting help. That's one of my things. Selfishness, which I'm like that, so I know that's something I repress, which I did because I was a people pleaser, and I am working hard to combat that.
I'm happily selfish now because I will put myself first.
Yeah.
And I'm so, like, you know, that's so important. We cannot do anything for anyone else unless we fill our cup up first. I used to be that people pleaser, and it nearly killed me. I was so drained. So now I do put myself first, and I don't care if people call me selfish, because it's very important thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. What was the next? Spontaneity. So being spontaneous keeps things interesting in life generally, and you can go on little adventures and do things that you probably wouldn't have done, or learn things that you wouldn't have learned. But spontaneity can also be a downside if you can't plan or be relied upon, you know.
So flexibility comes in there, you know. So it's about being flexible with your life.
The opposite of spontaneity is being sort of rigid with your, like, I plan, I do this, I've got, you know. Yeah, but that can also be, having no flexibility is not necessarily a good thing either. Being too rigid.
I used to be like that as well. I learned that off my dad. If something went out of my normal routine, it would actually make me really angry. Now I've come to relax into it, and if something happens or something changes, I'm like, that means something better.
Yeah. Assertiveness and leadership, sexuality. So you were kind of talking about that with your
and that's actually a very big one when it comes to our shadow, because we're often, because of society, we've been often led to feel that sex is shameful, or sex should be not spoken about out loud, or should be behind closed doors. since I was a teenager, we used to be in groups fucking chatting about sex. It's fucking natural. And once you're not hurting anyone, your sexual desires have nothing, you've nothing to be ashamed of. Bring it out to the light. It makes us who we are. I'm a that's what she said personality, and I fucking love it. You know, I hate when I get foolish, and I hate when I get too far the other side. But it's nice to bring out, like, there's nothing wrong with it. We should all be talking about it more. It's healthy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Competitiveness. Now, I always like to think I'm not competitive, but what I have discovered from karate is I am competitive. So that's kind of,
but it's good. It's good in some aspects. At least we're competitive in a competitive field. You know, that's good. At least it helps you win.
And that's the
you know what I mean?
Thing. You know, if you're not competitive, you'd be too laid back about it. But at the same time, I'm not so competitive that I would be arguing with the referee or whatever, or you know, getting a sulk or a strop, not being able to accept the outcome, not being able to be happy for my teammates. So
there you go. That's where the balance comes in.
It's good to be competitive,
but don't be a bitch about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Self-centeredness, that's kind of like selfishness, isn't it? Joy and playfulness. So like, being overly serious is not good. You've got to be able to find the joy.
Yeah, like be childlike. Let that out. Like, you know, people, oh my God, you know, Jesus, be happy. Just be happy.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, we're afraid to show our childlike side. Everyone's like, oh, grow up, that's childish. Don't do that. Don't watch cartoons. That's childish. Do what you fucking want. If it makes you happy, it makes you laugh. Go for it.
I think people are taking life far too seriously. Like taking the little things far. And I'm not saying serious things are not going on in life, but I think, the state of mental health in the world shows there's not enough laughter and joy going on. And I don't think that's not because there's not enough opportunities. I'm not saying there isn't terrible things going on in the world. There is, but that people don't see the opportunities.